Anybody who talks about college football or conducts an interview about college football has to ask about Johnny Manziel and Jadeveon Clowney. So let's start with Johnny football because there's a pretty interesting quote that I read from you when Johnny was going through some of his difficulties, and it was you said, "I think Johnny's a good guy. He just has to understand the position he's in. It's a privilege to play this game." If you could sit down and offer Johnny Manziel some advice, man-to-man, quarterback to quarterback, what would it be?
And I actually have a relationship with John. We talk, and the biggest thing that I would tell him is just that. I mean, you definitely have to enjoy it because you only get so much time at it. You're only in it for a short period of time, but at the same time, you have to embrace it. You have to understand that you are a role model in every situation, and that's kind of what I stress to the younger guys here at this program: is that regardless of the situation, what happens, good, bad, or indifferent, you are a role model. You make an impact. We have some of the biggest impacts in the country because of the stage we're on, because of the platform we're on, and it's important that you use it to your fully advantage. So, I mean, again, he's a terrific player, great person as well. But I mean, the decisions that you make don't only impact you, but impact everybody else heavily.
And you've got an interesting vantage point in the same state as Jadeveon Clowney, the state of South Carolina. And boy, what a time he's having, Todd. You talk about all the hype that he had coming in to this season. He's had injury issues, and then he has his own head coach basically calling him out for saying that he was too hurt to play their last game. Did you think that that was fair of Steve Spurrier to bring that out of the open, or do you look at it and say, the guy should be putting forth more effort and should be showing up for his team?
David Clown is an unbelievable player, as we all know. Um, could potentially be the number one pick in the draft, but again, it's more so about the team. Um, everybody knows that we're in a situation where we can make an opportunity to go to the next level, make a ridiculous amount of money, but at the same time, if you're going to step out that field, you got to be fully committed. And this game of football is nothing about you personally. It's a selfless game. You have to be fully committed to the team and understand that everything you do hinders that, and you have an effect on it. So, I think he really understands that. I think at the time he kind of was in a situation where, he was getting it from all angles, from the media, from his teammates, probably at home, and it could have been an overwhelming situation for him because I don't know if he's actually really been in this situation before until after like the huge hit. And again, I mean, if I could sit down and talk with him, I would just tell him, if you're gonna step out there, man, just give it all you got and just take it from there.
Well said. Todd's last question. I'm just curious to hear your thoughts and experiences and your take on the specter of the African American quarterback, both in the NFL and in college football. Here we have this epic national great football game on Saturday, and it's this great quarterback battle, and both of these young men are African Americans. I'm old enough to remember a time when that was not only unusual, but very much a topic of conversation. In fact, when I sat down with Brett Hundley a couple weeks ago, I pointed out to him that I was at the Super Bowl when Doug Williams started for the Washington Redskins. He was the first black quarterback to start in a Super Bowl. It was a huge topic of conversation. You look around college football right now, the top quarterbacks in college football, not just you and Jameis, obviously, but Teddy Bridgewater, Stephen Morris, Hundley, James Franklin. It's not only not unusual anymore, but we're seeing more predominantly black quarterbacks in college football and in the NFL, not to mention the two Heisman Trophy winners, by the way, black quarterbacks of recent vintage. So I'm curious, number one, how aware are you of this history, and how much, like Brett Hundley, did you sort of fight a little bit coming up the notion of people maybe trying to move you over to running back, trying to move you over to wide receiver? Or are we at the point where it's just not really much in your mind, not a big deal, and hasn't been much a part of your experience as a football player?
I'm very aware of the situation. Obviously there's been an evolution of African American quarterbacks playing this position. Um, and I think that for the most part now, in the situation we're in, hopefully a lot of the stereotypes and stigmas that were once presented are kind of set to the side. Because at the end of the day, it's all about you preparing with purpose and you performing to the best of your capability. So I mean, of course, there were pioneers to pave the way for us to be in the position that we're in, but I'm starting to see that the country is kind of unbiased towards an African American playing this position. I never really understood the stigma of like when people say that there's like a less intelligent or you're too athletic to play this position. And growing up, I will say that I was on the lesser side of hearing that, but at the same time, I still had caught glimpses of it. I remember somebody telling me that he might be a good running back or receiver at the next level, but I'm gonna let you know right now I can't play any other positions. I'm just not that athletic for that, So
You're too smart for that, is what you are. So
yeah, for sure, and it's something that I take pride in. Again, because like I was talking about Johnny, again, I'm a role model for a lot of kids as well, just because of the situation I'm in. And as much as you don't like to talk about race, it still exists, it's still there. But at the same time, you have to have an appreciation for it. And I don't really see myself as of any color, kind of, because I feel like I could potentially be the president of the United States, man. That's just kind of how I carry myself, present myself. But again, I think we're all aware of the situation, but it's improved very heavily, and you can just see the makings of quarterback playing at every level of football, and it's just been exciting to see.
Well, I'm not going to rule out the possibility that you will someday become president of the United States. But first you got a football game to play
Sure.
this weekend. And listen, I wish you the best of luck in that game. And I really appreciate, Tajh, the way that you've embraced this entire experience. You came back to college for the opportunity to play in a game like this. You enjoy your life. You enjoy the totality of the experience. I know you're active with community service. You set a great tone. And I really appreciate you being on the show. I know it's a huge, busy week for you, but I've enjoyed talking to you, and I know I'm going to enjoy watching you play on Saturday. So best of luck against the Seminoles, and best of luck on the road to the White House. Thanks for being on the show.
Appreciate that.